Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israelite Wake Up. This is our Women Advanced Bible Study, the 26th of June, 2025. We'll be reading out of the 54th book of Apocrypha, the Testament of Reuben. There's some things that were said in the book of Reuben, Testament of Reuben, that we're going to elaborate on and examine it and get the meat out. Then we'll, okay. So you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. To Israel Wake Up. Check out our videos. We have over 100 or so videos that you can look at and examine. Get the meat out. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, this channel is our sister channel to Israel Wake Up. To Prophets of Awakening. So we're on every Thursday night for our Bible study. So for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Lord and our Savior and our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist Hebrews who are waking up in these last days to their true identity. Okay, shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our Bible study. We're going to do our normal, which is moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have some current events, some need to know information. Then we'll open it up for anybody with any questions, comments, any dialogue. Okay, and then we'll go into our topic for we'll be dealing with Great Britain's role in everything that we see going on right now. I've talked about this in the past, but just some more information to shine a light on it. And then we'll go to our scripture reading. Like I said, we'll be dealing with Testament of Reuben, and we'll break that down. Okay, we'll pick a scripture from the Bible or from one of the lost books, and then we'll break it down, and then we'll close out. Okay. Moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts, and all of these doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in the last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee, as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hide not thy face from us, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. With that being said, I'm going to read a song. Okay. Only one. It says, blessed are the righteous. Blessed is the man that walketh not in counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doeth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in its season, and his leaves also that not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like a chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. Okay, so that was Psalms 2, blessed are the righteous, which is pretty much lays out what's going to happen to someone that's unrighteous, and what's going to be the final lot for the people that's all righteous. So with that being said, we're gonna go to our women's health moment with Michelle.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I had to hook up my headphones. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on the sycamore fig and its benefits. Have you ever heard of the sycamore fig? Sure, you have. Brother AJ read about it last week in the book of Amos, chapter 7, verse 14. You can also read about it in Psalms chapter 78 and in the book of Jeremiah chapter 24, the two baskets of figs, just to name a few. Although we can read about the sycamore fig throughout the Tanakh, it provides insight into its cultural and spiritual significance. What does the sycamore fig look and taste like? The sycamore fig tree is tall and wide with green gray bark and large heart shaped leaves that resemble those of a mulberry tree. The fruit grows in clusters and is about the same size and shape as the common fig. The sycamore fig has a sweet taste and soft textured flesh. The sycamore fig tree was a common sight in ancient Israel, often planted along roadsides and in fields, and has great health benefits. Excuse me. The sycamore fig is a nutrient dense fruit that provides a wide variety of vitamins and minerals. Here are 7 health benefits of the sycamore fig. 1. Fighting constipation. Figs are high in fiber, which can help to add moisture and bulk to the stool. This promotes regular bowel movements and helps to treat constipation. Preventing high blood pressure. Figs naturally contain potassium, a mineral that helps eliminate excess sodium through the urine. Therefore, figs can be consumed to help control blood pressure and prevent complications such as heart attacks and strokes. It is good for reducing the risk of cancer. Because they are rich in antioxidants, figs help to fight excess free radicals and boost immunity. Therefore, they can be consumed to help prevent some types of cancer, such as colon cancer, ovarian cancer, and breast cancer. It's good for preventing premature aging, reducing cholesterol and triglycerides. It regulates blood sugar levels, and it also helps with promoting weight loss. Figs Figs are an excellent source of fiber and water, which is why they can keep you full and reduce hunger and overeating. They are a great option to include in a weight loss diet. Sycamore fig is a versatile and nutrient-dense fruit that offers numerous health benefits, from its anti-inflammatory effects to its impact on bone health. Sycamore fig is a powerful addition to any diet. By incorporating sycamore fig into your daily routine, you can help to reduce inflammation, support healthy bones, and enjoy the many nutritional benefits of this remarkable fruit. I will be reading from Second Chronicles chapter 1, verses 13 through 15. Solomon's greatness. Verse 13. Then Solomon came from his journey to the high place that was at Gibeon to Jerusalem from before the tabernacle of the congregation and reigned over Israel. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities and with the king at Jerusalem. Verse 15. And the king made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stones and cedar trees, he as the sycamore trees that are in the vale of for abundance. Excuse me. Tonight's discussion was sycamore fig and its benefits, and I read from Second Chronicles chapter 1, verses 13 through 15, Solomon's greatness. Shalom, everyone.
Anybody have any comments on that? But we appreciate the information. Okay. We're gonna go to our current events. We'll play them, and then we'll dialogue on the content. Okay.
Was what happened leading up to Israel's illegal and offensive attack. So the Washington Post has this report out that shows what happened leading up to Israel's illegal and offensive attack on Iran. As you all know, they killed top military officials, top political officials, but they also apartment buildings and civilians as well. In fact, I read one breakdown that says about 90% of those killed were civilians in Israel's attack on Iran. And so the Washington Post got their hands on these basically threatening phones made by Mossad agents to people in the Iranian government, likely the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and maybe military officials as well, where they basically tell them like, "Hey, dog, we're about to murk your ass. Get the fuck out of there," right? Like basically leave Iran. What they want is, hey, hand the government over to the son of the Shah, Reza Pahlavi. So there's a new secular dictator who's an Israeli and U.S. puppet, right? That's what they want. But what's incredible to me is that you had all these pro-Israel accounts on Twitter that were sharing this and sort of bragging about Mossad and how effective they are. And it's just like the beeper attack that they did against Hezbollah, which also killed a lot of civilians, including children, right? But look at this from Omar Badr. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you because it's in a different language. I'm not sure if it's Arabic or if it's Farsi, but it's in a different language. It's 3 minutes and 45 seconds of these like threatening voicemails. But here's one part in there. They say, "We will hit you, your family, your children, everyone with the dirt. I only call to tell you, look, as long as there's time." So Omar Badr says, "Is there anything more depraved than the Israeli government explicitly threatening to kill the children and families of Iranian officials, and Eylon Levy bragging about this terrorism in public?" And that's the point. Like a story running in the Washington Post basically saying Mossad are colossal terrorists, and you get hooray, cheer, yay from some in U.S. media, but more importantly, the pro-Israel accounts that run cover for their genocide in Gaza and now run cover for their illegal and offensive attack on Iran. So
we had this conversation the other day that when you understand it, it clarifies a lot of stuff. The Mossad is the secret service for the Israel, fake Israelites, but they the ones that run America. They're the ones that run the CIA in America. Everybody think it's the other way around, but the Mossad runs America. So that means everything that happens is for Israel's agenda, not America. That's why everything looking the way it is. Everybody tripping out on why they make this decision and why they make their decision, because of it's America. The decision that's being made. Americans ain't making the decision. Okay. Play a little more of this.
Wow. But I have some more for you. So as you know, Trump came out the other day, literally out of the blue, and was like, "Amazing, I got a ceasefire. Both sides agree. It's incredible. Ceasefire. It starts in 6 hours for Iran and 12 hours for Israel. We're done here. Yay." And then the Iranian government came out and said, "That's not true. We didn't get any ceasefire proposal." But then 20 minutes later, a different Iranian government official came out. We do have a ceasefire. But then Iranian Press TV came out, that's their state media, and said, "We don't have a ceasefire." And then what happened then was Israel launched on Tehran, massive bombing campaign on Tehran. Then Iran launched like massive waves of bombings back at mostly southern Israel. And so after the ceasefire was announced, you had a bunch of shooting back and forth. Trump was asked about the next day, and he's like, "They've been fighting for so long that they don't know what the fuck they're doing," right? Now, Chris and I were saying, is this just part of kayfabe? Is this more fake diplomacy to like let Israel maybe not. We don't know the answer to it. Maybe Trump like did the illegal and offensive bombing and just wants to declare victory and move on. But guess what? The Israel lobby doesn't want to. Netanyahu doesn't want to. The name of their mission is Operation Rising Lion, which alludes to the Persian flag before the Iranian government, and that had a lion on it. That's the point, is they want to bring back secular dictatorship where the leader is a puppet to the West. But we've now gotten some more information since then, which shines some light on the direction that they're going to go. So here's I-24 News English, and this is what the Israeli government is saying. Let's watch.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says that all of Israel's war goals have been met in Iran. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think most of Israel's war goals have been met. That the three main existential threats to Israel's very existence here in the Middle East have been severely rolled back, and that is Iran's nuclear program, multiple strikes against sites by the US and Israel, the missile program, production, launching capabilities, the whole manufacturing chain, up and down the chain has been struck severely. And the command structure of the IRGC and various commanders who were in charge of coordinating and operating Hamas, Hezbollah also eliminated. These are not commanders that are easily replaced. Just like Qasem Soleimani was not easily replaced, nor Hassan Nasrallah, these commanders in the IRGC will not easily be replaced. The whole package, I think Israel achieved most of its goals, rolled back most of the existential capabilities that it wanted to roll back, and therefore it's in a position to give this ceasefire a chance, but with no delusions, because I think Israel is going to be wanting to enforce and preserve its gain. That it can be sure that it will do that is to respond to intelligence kinetically of any Iranian attempts to rebuild these capabilities.
In other words, we reserve the right to keep bombing as we see fit. And as this person, Israeli media reports from today and yesterday are indicating that there is a push to attempt to apply the South Lebanon model onto the entirety of Iran, making it a place where they can regularly strike under a ceasefire without a real fear of retaliation. And we also have this that came out. The campaign against Iran is not over. We've concluded a significant chapter, now entering a new phase. So understand.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. I think that it's very interesting how these tactics that Israel is deploying are the same tactics that America deployed with the birth of America, and that the history of the conflict between Israel and Iran goes way back, but they only want to talk about it from the standpoint of when um, Iran wasn't cooperating with them and all the so-called terrorists, but they don't go all the way back to talk about how Israel, BP, and America came in and overthrew their government for the oil and to take control of the oil. And that's why they have hated America and Israel and others all this time. And, it's the same thing. I mean, there's nothing that I see in this conflict that has anything to do with religion. They have this mask of religion, but all of it is about the resources and the land where these people are, and they want to have control over it. And I think that's continuing to get unfolded. That narrative is being spoken out, and I think it's helping people to decide what side they're on or who they're supporting. And I think they are pleasantly surprised about how United States citizens are supporting Iran, because the history of all this stuff is being put out there.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same way with the Palestinians. The majority of the global population sided with Palestine, and now they're doing the same thing with Iran. So, which cause pretty much hated because of their actions, Israel. And then a lot of it got to do with people more knowledgeable of what of everything that was going on and how these people are being manipulating everything up to this point.
And if
So,
I may say one more thing, the other thing that came out last week, which I think was atrocious, is this idea that somebody in Israel, I think, submitted a application for Trump to get the Nobel Peace Prize because of the ceasefire that he created between it. So, I would hate to think that this whole timeline was based on that, but that's another part of it. He was upset and they had to withdraw the nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. And now the person that he, have been stomping on and trying to embarrass on a national scale is the one that's actually the forerunner for the for the Nobel Peace Prize, and that's Zelensky.
exactly. Right, right. Okay. I think they got Obama in the running too, ain't he?
I hadn't heard about Obama, but I know that he has been having talks with behind the scenes and stuff. It's that they're not really reporting on it. But
Right.
I did see somehow, I know that he must be saying or doing something, because I think Trump threatened him with the Logan Act of interfering with government, which he just did this very thing last year with Israel and others, and him participating, inviting people to his house, before he was elected or reelected as the president. He had Canada at Mar-a-Lago. He had Israel at Mar-a-Lago, and somebody else, I think some other dictator came. But yet he wants to charge Obama with violating the Logan Act.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Okay, here's another one right here.
Hello, I'm CJ Wellerman, and in this episode, we reveal how Israel is desperately trying to downplay the devastating destruction that Iranian missiles have brought upon the Zionist state. But first, to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. I never fully appreciated the German word Schadenfreude until Iranian ballistic and hypersonic missiles slammed into Tel Aviv weekend. In English, Schadenfreude means to take great pleasure from another person's fortune. And hardly anything has brought me more joy than watching Israelis take to social media to complain about by a foreign military. The irony couldn't be more delicious, because the same people who told Palestinians to stop crying about being bombed are the same people who are now running and scrambling for the nearest bomb shelter. Call it karmic justice, call it righteous vengeance, or call it else. But Iranian missiles have gone a long way to restoring our faith in humanity and our hope for ultimate justice. And justice is exactly what this is. Remembering that 82% of Israelis celebrate the genocide that has taken place in their name for the past 21 months, resulting in the slaughter of upwards of 100,000 Palestinians, 75% of whom were women and children. We are talking about a genocide that Israelis have turned into a major tourism attraction, as they enjoy picnics and take selfies while Palestinians are incinerated and starved to death in the background. But now how the tables have turned. Israelis are getting a taste of their own medicine, having started an unprovoked war against Iran, a country that boasts the largest and most diverse ballistic missile stockpile in the Middle East. Israeli cities are on fire. This is not Gaza, this is downtown Tel Aviv. This is what Israel is desperate to keep hidden from the world. It does its best to conceal the magnitude of Iran's counter.
Okay, this is what I was talking about right here. When the picture they got painted in the Revelations is that Babylon, mystery Babylon is America, and everybody's waiting, thinking they're going to see it burning. All the ships and merchants from afar off. But what I've been shown, especially the last couple of days, is how that all the merchandise that's mentioned in Revelation 18 is it's got to do with what Israel used and what our ancient forefathers used in the land of Israel. The colors, the purple, the fine linen, the fine flour, all that is what Israel used. So to me, it's pointing to the fact that mystery Babylon is Israel, fake Israel. They're the mystery Babylon because they posing as the Israelites, but they're not the Israelites. And like I said before, I'm using Revelation because most of what you read in Revelation came out of Daniel. They stuck it over in the book of Revelation to give it legitimacy, but it's coming out of the book of Daniel. So with that, anybody got it? Okay, here we go. There's some need to know information right here. Something to pay attention.
Interesting stuff to talk about in this video, my friends. This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. We had, of course, what happened overnight. Now our president apparently not very happy with the whole.
Let's go back to what I was saying about the water event that's on the money. It's like let's look at it, then we'll talk about it.
Deal that they had made to stop the entire thing from going forward anymore. Obviously referring to what's happening in the middle of course east. What's interesting though is I just found something rather curious that was happening sort of in the background, I guess you would say, and I'll get into it in a second here. It's a technology that I believe Iran
of course, has
It's big.
that you're not going to believe.
This is
And maybe that's what they were dealing with. And, well, like I said, I'm going to get into that in a minute. It ties into something we saw 6 months ago, those drones and orbs. Believe it or not, I'm going to get into it in a second. But I wanted to mention also, on top of this strange technology that I'm going to show you they have, we also have Kim Clement here talking about this specific summer, saying that we're just getting started, my friends. July is going to be strange July, all the way into hypnotic, of course, November. This is supposed to be something huge that happens this summer. June is not even mentioned, okay? What we just saw was not even mentioned. This man is the one who predicted our president back in 2009. And actually, I think it was 2013, he predicted that the Kennedys would join him. He predicted who the president would be and that the Kennedys would join him, which both have happened. This guy is not even around anymore. This guy's dead. All his predictions are not coming to pass. He predicted that this summer is going to be insane, and we haven't even got to the part where it gets that way yet. So I just wanted to put that out there, that we're just getting started, my friends. Now let's get into this technology that Iran, of course, has that's pretty surprising. And perhaps this is what was in those facilities. The fact is, our president, the way he conducted the whole thing, he told us what he was going to do before it even happened, which doesn't make any sense if it was simply some materials in there. And I kind of wondered, I felt like the whole thing seemed a little strange because he had sort of telegraphed it like 3 days in advance. Clearly, if they had any of these materials, that they enriched in there, they could easily move them out. I think there was something potentially much more concerning in, of course, those facilities. And this right here might be it. So I saw this video over on End Times Productions showing something that happened some time ago, actually, that Iran said they had built a copy, of course, of this captured, drone, but that was actually not the real story. It was how they captured it, what they used to capture it, that's a little bit more concerning. Okay. This is out of Wired magazine. This isn't out of some, random website. Flying, of course, saucer downed. Apparently one of our drones, according to this article from Wired magazine. This is what some engineer claims. We have no comment on individuals' claims, George Little. Now, the chief spokesman says, but tell him the secretary would like to have his lightsaber back. Ha ha ha. This is not Star Wars, but of course, considering what we saw 6 months ago here in America, all those orbs and drones flying around everywhere. Actually, some people in the comments will still say, actually, it's still happening. I had someone from New Jersey in the comment section on like the video before last saying, no, actually, they're still above my house 6 months later, right? Of course, no one's really talking about it now. There are lots of videos, though. If you go look around, you'll find them. But you remember how we were talking about all that back 6 months ago? They seemingly came from the ocean. A lot of people are wondering what these were. We had a guy on Sean Ryan's show saying that actually we do know what those are. It was some guy that received a text from the guy who had the Cybertruck, of course, in Las Vegas and that whole thing. You remember that back in January? Sent him a text saying, because that guy was part of the military as well, that these are anti-gravity not normal drones, not normal vehicles. And what's so weird about this article in Wired Magazine, they're just kind of joking about Star Wars lightsabers, is that they're talking about the exact same technology and that they used it to get, of course, our drone. Now, that's a little strange. Apparently, they've also advanced this technology, and apparently there was some strange, of course, videos coming out of that area during the entire thing. Those transpiring, I can't talk here, a day ago. You see here? Here they are coming down on Iran, and there's these other low observable objects that are seen in the sky that are very darkened. You can't really see them too well. But what's interesting is they actually had the same shape as something that was supposedly a UFO or whatever thing they created there. It doesn't exactly look like this. They just made this picture up. It's a little bit more like it's more like this. Just like more like an egg shape. It doesn't even have this, like, frisbee look to it. But it's kind of interesting looking into this because there's a number of videos over on X kind of going viral of several drones, orbs, whatever you want to call them, flying around when this all is occurring. I guess having a lot of these type of videos, this is where they heightened how it looked. It just looks like an egg. And I saw it over on, let me see if I can go find the picture that he was showing from a long time ago when they actually captured this vehicle. I think it was like 10 years ago. Let's see if I can find that really quick. Can we pause? Can we just pause? There we go. Pause. All right. 1 sec here. That's the one thing about these. When they load, they just want to do whatever they want to do. Okay, let's see if we can find this picture that he was showing. What is it? Yeah, here we are. Here it is. Look at that. It looks like an egg. This is the thing they apparently had captured prior to this and reverse engineered it as well, apparently. Some sort of unidentified, of course, object. We know also, allegedly, the ones that were back 6 months ago were from China. This is what a lot of people were saying. I was kind of speculating that as well. It's interesting. I don't know. Could there be some of this technology that they have discovered, reverse engineered? My background is mechanical engineering, by the way. All you have to have is a couple really brilliant scientists to do it. It is kind of rocket science, actually, but yeah. So of course we have articles even on Wikipedia about this incident back in 2011. It was more than 10 years ago, apparently 14 years ago when they got this drone. And it was an advanced one. They took it.
At Wells Fargo.
Trying to get to the meat.
He actually was in the military himself. So this is something that he discovered. I'm just pointing out, I think it actually makes a little bit more sense. I'm not saying this is what it is, but it makes a heck of a lot more sense than what they've been telling us, because you don't give them 3-4 days warning. Unless that's an assembly line in there or they're building things in there, and that's the concern, right? Not just a little bit of material. Oh, they got some materials. After 30 years, they finally got some. Come on, give me a break, dude. If they had something, they would have had it back in the 90s or even early 2000s. I mean, they've been literally harping on this country for 30 years over this. It's always the same thing. I'm thinking they already had it if they did. If they were ever going to have it, they already had it. It's probably something else much more important that they're trying to deal with here than that. This is just my guess. We got a little bit more about this. Keshi isn't interested in any of that, even though his saucers and tractor beams allegedly captured the RQ, of course, 170, majorly cheesing off Washington. Casey hopes his space tech will bring about a new era of international peace and intergalactic exploration. We invite the U.S. GOP and other nations to enter into negotiation with the Foundation. So this is from 14 years, no, is this 13 years ago? I think this is 13, 14, something like that, obviously more than a decade ago. For disclosure of the full space technology to all nations simultaneously, there shall be no more WAR. But instead, we have peace and conquer space and not each other's little piece of lands. So-called nation. This is interesting how this is written. This is from more than a decade ago. Allegedly, they had already had some advanced technology, which, of course, the guy, the Cybertruck guy, you remember in Las Vegas? I don't know, that guy back in January. He was saying that China has this technology, America has this technology. He thought only those two countries did. It looks like these guys already had it 10 years ago as well. That's interesting. So, of course, and I'm thinking it's more than just China and us and those guys. Iran, maybe Russia already had, who knows? Maybe multiple countries at this point already have it. We have, of course, the Vladmeister calling up our president, saying he would help on a deal with Iran. And he said to him, no, I don't need help with Iran. I need help with you, as a snarky comment back. This is what he said, he put out. Of course, there's a clip right now that's going viral. Let me play this here. Because, of course, Bibi wasn't happy enough with the deal that was already made. He had to go drop some more on there right after it was signed, of course. And here we have Candace talking about it. It was a bad idea to defy our president this time. Because, of course, he thinks he can just do whatever he wants. Something else could have to do with some other technology that they had that they were getting very, very good at. Maybe even assembly lines of these things being made. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what it was. I kind of don't believe it was some materials that they could move with a 4-day telegraph telling you, oh, we're going to do something to you. Oh, let's just move all this stuff out of here before you do it. Obviously, you saw how it looked. The place is completely non-existent at this point. Let me show you this.
When you look at what this looked like before June 20th,
yep.
This is what
nice
the
place.
fuel enrichment facility looked like from a satellite view. Now take a look
Not
at
so
what
nice.
happened here. Every single thing.
So they're fumbling with it, but the thing was is that they have this technology that they could control the water with it, and like create tsunamis. And like I said before, we already know that that's on the dollar, so we'll wait and see what happens with it. Okay. That being said, we'll open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments or any dialogue they want to talk about? Anything they came across, they heard they want to talk about? Any questions? Okay. So with that being said, I talked about this last night, and I want to get it out there because I've been saying this all along about Great Britain. The so-called throne of David is in Great Britain, right? So check this out. They got everybody focused on one thing, but this is actually what's happening. Let me check it out.
You want ads that drive results.
And the crazy part about it is, all of a sudden it's coming out. The channel right here is Promethean updates, but it's crazy. You got to go to that channel and look at the information that's coming out on the channel all of a sudden. Here you go.
In Los Angeles right now aren't just about immigration. What if the real story
it's a bunch of Edomite women. The channel is new, and already it has 140-some thousand subscribers.
Far bigger, stretching from the streets of LA all the way to the war-torn fields of Ukraine, and masterminded not in Washington, but in London, to destroy both Russia and the United States. I'm Barbara Boyd, and this is your Monday Brief. If you think these riots are just a repeat of the 2020 George Floyd summer, you're missing the real players and real purpose.
Right.
Because ever since Donald Trump rode down that escalator in 2015, I've been tracking the forces waging war against him and against us, the American people. I've seen the British hand in the Lewis prosecutions before, and I see the same playbook operating now. Now, here's the common take. America's chaos is homegrown, a product of our own divisions. But what if the same Anglo-American intelligence works that staged the 2014 coup in Ukraine are now running a color revolution right here, using our own institutions, media, and street mobs as their weapons? Don't take my word for it. The evidence is hiding in plain sight if you know where to look. Today, I'll expose the British color revolution apparatus, show you how it fits with the LA riots, and lay out exactly what must be done to defeat it. Here's the plan. First, I'll give you a quick but deep dive into the color revolution against Trump from 2015 to now. Second, I'll reveal how this apparatus is functioning in the LA riots. And finally, I'll tell you how we can neuter and destroy this machine for good. Ready? Let's pull back the curtain. The mainstream media wants you to believe the LA riots are a spontaneous outpouring of anger over immigration arrests in the so-called sanctuary city. They've been using an old script. Bricks, having been previously placed for this purpose, are hurled at cops and their cars, and things go up in flames, and TV pundits and Democrats call it a peaceful protest against the background of a city on fire, just like the summer 2020 George Floyd riots. The difference now is that we have a president and a cabinet firmly in charge behind him, along with an American public ready to learn and fight for the future and, coincidentally, enforce the law. If you look at the players, the funding, and the timing, you'll see a pattern that matches the color revolution playbook used in Ukraine, and since 2016, right here in America against Donald Trump. The goal isn't just to protest Trump's policies, it's to destabilize the country, delegitimize the president, and set the stage for regime change. If you think I'm exaggerating, just wait, I'm going to show you. But what you're about to hear is unique. To get this type of brief regularly, join our email newsletter to keep in touch, to keep up, to be part of our community. The link is in the description. Now, let's go back to the second Obama administration. By then, the British Crown's intelligence services and America's own security state, the CIA, Pentagon, State Department, and associated media, foundations, law firms, and NGOs were inseparably melded together. Biden's CIA Director Bill Burns and MI6's Richard Moore even bragged about this disgusting mind meld last year at an event sponsored by the Financial Times, the City of London's flagship publication. Here's MI6's Moore describing how they work. We do operations together. We will look at operational opportunities and will sometimes decide who's better placed to go for that operation. We call it the best athlete model. Whoever is best placed to go after that. We try and do that in a non-competitive way, which will get results for both of us. Ukraine was the ultimate prize for the color revolutionaries of the Obama administration. The country was targeted because of its location, history, and culture. It was to be used to wage war and create regime change in Russia. If the color revolution succeeded and the war achieved its aims, all of Eurasia opens up along with all of its resources and land transportation routes. Russia is the gateway to controlling the entire Eurasian continent, and the British obsession with conquering it has already led to 2 world wars. The 2014 Ukraine coup perfected modern regime change operations after some successes and failures in the Arab Spring. Billions were spent by the US government, George Soros, and the British to fund NGOs, recruit street gangs, and rig elections. All this was coordinated by the National Endowment for Democracy, which has been doing regime change for the CIA since 1987. But the real innovation was what is called full spectrum information warfare, NATO's cognitive warfare campaign, designed not just to influence, but to create new behaviors and beliefs. Complete national offensive propaganda control was imposed. Any dissenting information or derivative views were blacked out, just like we experienced here beginning in 2016. The result? A population whipped into a frenzy, convinced they were fighting a great historical battle against a new Stalin, namely Vladimir Putin. Now, Stalin had murdered their ancestors.
So let's look at this. So you've been hearing me talking about the Israelis, the people over in Israel, and what they're doing, how they want to build a temple. Now all of a sudden, these people here is coming out of nowhere, and they're bringing Britain into play. So when you say Britain, like I said, you're talking about the throne of David. As far as they're concerned, the throne of David is in Britain, it's in London. King Charles and all those, they're the ones sitting on the throne of David. We talked about that. So what we're looking at is it's no different than what back in the day when they said when the New Testament was supposed to be in existence. Esau got 12 sons, just like Jacob got 12 sons. So what you're looking at right now, you're being inundated with all these different factions. They all Edomites. You got the nation of so-called the harlot that's over in Israel. Them Edomites. Those are Edomites in Great Britain. Those Edomites in France. So, like I said before, what we're looking at is they want to bring down the whole global system, and when the dust clears, they're gonna be sitting there with a temple, and they're gonna be ruling the world. So everybody looking in one direction, but like I said, Esau is all over the place. Like I said, you got a huge number of Edomites on the west coast of America who've been there ever since the beginning. They was there before the 13 colonies. You got in Boston, Massachusetts, all that area, the Edomites. They've been there forever. And all these Edomite factions is working together to bring down the whole global system. And when the smoke, like I said, when the smoke clears, they gonna be in charge. That's what we're looking at. So, like I said, all of a sudden this channel comes out of nowhere with all this information. Right? It's like I said, the Promethean updates. And if you searching our knowledge and you trying to find out what's happening, you need to check this out. I'm gonna put one more video from them. This one right here is more revealing, right? Check it out. It's and you gotta ask yourself, what King Charles got to do with it? So all of a sudden right here, you play this.
Why did King Charles?
Like I said, these are all women. These might women. So all of a sudden, King Charles got a problem with Trump. Check it out.
Traveled to Canada to personally deliver the official speech to the throne for the first time in almost 50 years. Because the globalist elite is in full panic mode over Trump's resurgent American republic. Many people think Charles' visit to Canada is just a diplomatic routine or a ceremonial function.
King Charles.
But the fact that this hasn't happened in this way in 5 decades tells you something. That you are witnessing a fundamental battle between 2 worldviews. And shockingly, some of Trump's own allies are unknowingly fighting for the wrong side. This is Susan Kokinda, and I've been engaged in this political war for over 5 decades. And that frontline experience is one of the reasons I was recently elected as coalition's vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party. In this midweek update, we're first going to dissect King Charles' agenda in Canada. Then we'll look at the weekend speeches of President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Defense Secretary Hegseth, and how especially Hegseth's Memorial Day speech carried a powerful repudiation of everything the British Empire stands for. And then we're going to expose how an outdated imperial mindset, even among well-meaning patriots, threatens to derail President Trump's policies and our republic's return to its fundamental principles. So start with Charles' visit to Canada, where he was invited to deliver the speech from the throne address that opens the Canadian Parliament by the newly ensconced Prime Minister Mark Carney, who holds the globalist distinction of having been head of both the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. That Carney would invite the king to come to Canada to give this address personally for the first time since a monarch has done that since 1977.
So all this on the radar. Nobody paying attention to none of this.
Should tell you that this is not ceremonial. The New York Times admitted the substance of this in a mostly truthful headline, which said King Charles visits Canada in a subtle rebuke to Trump. But if you read the New York Times coverage, you'll see just how unsubtle the king's recent activities have been. The Times says, Charles hosted President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine after Zelensky's bitter exchange with Mr. Trump in the Oval Office. While the king, by custom, stays out of politics, his warm welcome of Mr. Zelensky reinforced Europe's embrace of the Ukrainian leader. And of course,
so these people believe that King Charles is out of lineage of David. You gotta let that from me. Who know that? They believe that they out of lineage of David. When they say king, he's right along with Solomon and Hezekiah and all them. He's the lineage out of David.
First, the embrace of the Ukrainian leader means the embrace of a war that cannot be won by Ukraine, that has killed hundreds of thousands, has displaced millions, and still threatens World War III. While Charles did not directly address the conflict in his speech, he did use the globalist buzzwords of democracy, pluralism, and rule of law, and declared that Canada would be seeking to work with reliable allies and a coalition of nations that agree with its values and the free exchange of goods. That probably does not include Donald Trump's United States. But despite the praise of free trade, climate change, green energy, new alliances, and reliable allies, the King's speech also recognized a new reality. Canada has become the poster child of free trade, wokeness, and globalization. And it now finds itself in a position where it's going to have trouble functioning economically in Donald Trump's world. How Elon Musk runs SpaceX. He's created the premier rockets in the world, including the Super Heavy booster. And he hasn't done this by cutting budgets. He builds rockets which cost a boatload, and then they blow up, and then he builds more. The Super Heavy booster isn't turning a monetary profit right now, but it is creating something more valuable, understanding how the universe works. So Elon Musk has these two sides to him. He has the libertarian side, and he has the scientific and technological genius side, who will take us into the solar system. Unfortunately, most of the libertarians and budget cutters in Congress, like Senator Rand Paul, don't have the scientific genius side. And Trump's big, beautiful bill faces a daunting challenge in the Senate. So where does this libertarian infection come from? It's one arm of British liberal economics, which says that markets, i.e. money, rule. This is not the American system, which recognizes that government has a role to play in fostering, but not hindering, the physical growth of our economy through advances in science and technology. Sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Maybe somebody get onto it and start tracking it. But yeah, we'll talk about it more the more, I need to watch more videos on that, and then we'll go into it a little more. Anybody have any comments on that?
Shalom, actually have heard a little bit about this, and to me, it makes sense for them to think that King Charles is in that line of succession for David, because Esau and his descendants believed that they were robbed of their birthright. So if they believe that, then yeah, that makes sense to them, because again, they display this whole thing as if they have been the victim in this whole thing. So I definitely see why they may believe that, but I mean, we know otherwise.
Right, right, and so that's what, when you understand these people's mindset. That we was reading the other day where it says in Daniel, he's going at the end, which they're saying JC is going to come back and he's going to sit on the throne of David. Well, this is the throne they're talking about right here. So how they going to do? What's their plans? They have to rebuild a temple. Take this throne right here that's in Great Britain back to Israel. That's what we're looking at. This is what they're trying to orchestrate. They're trying to bring down the whole global system, wreck it. And then like I said, when the dust clears and they come back up, Israel gonna be the ruling power. And they're gonna that be the opportunity to take David's throne back to Jerusalem.
So Shalom, so are you saying that that's part of the prophecy that will come true, or that is
No,
what they're trying to do?
that's what they got planned.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
and what they have planned, they that delusional to think that they're going to usurp the Lord of hosts prophecies that's already in place.
Right.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so we'll get into that a little more. But like I said, our scripture really going to be out of the Testament of Reuben. I'm gonna read a verse out of that first, and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna read the whole thing because the verse I'm gonna read is gonna get explained when you read the whole Testament of Reuben. But I'm gonna read this particular verse first, and then I'll see if anybody have any comments on that, and then I'm gonna read the whole Testament of Reuben. Right? It ain't that much, but I'm gonna just come back and explain what was why Reuben said what he said. So I'm in the Testament of Reuben. I'm in the 54 books Apocrypha. I don't know if anybody had it. I'm in the 54 book Apocrypha, and let me get it. Okay. Okay. So it says, I'm in chapter 5, and it starts out, it says, for women are evil, my children. Reuben saying this, for women are evil, my children, and since they have no power or strength over man, they use schemes by outward attractions that they may draw him to themselves, and whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions, they overcome him by craft. For moreover, concerning them, the messengers of the Lord told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, and they plot against men in their heart, and by means of their adornment, they first deceive their minds, and by the glance of the eyes, instill the poison, and then through the accomplished act, they take them captive. For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by harlots bearing, she deceives him. Flee therefore fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they do not adorn their heads and faces to deceive the mind, because every woman who uses these schemes has been reserved for the contemptuous punishment. For thus they allure the watchers who were before the flood. For as they continuously beheld them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the acts of their mind, for they changed themselves into the shapes of men and appeared to them. And when they were with their husbands, and the women lusting in their minds after their forms, gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching even to heaven. Okay, so that was out of the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, chapter 5 was from Reuben. Okay, any comments on that? Any comments on that? What do you think?
Shalom, everyone. Yes, sir. I understand that chapter better when you read that. Also, with connecting it out of the book of Enoch, chapter 6, and Genesis, chapter 6. So, reading that, it makes sense. I understand it better.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so you got people that will read that and then they would think that Reuben is saying that all women on the earth are wicked and evil, but it's not the case. So we're gonna go back and read from the beginning, the whole scheme of things. So it says, the copy of the testament of Reuben, even the commands which he gave his sons. Notice that, even the commands which he gave his sons before he died in the 120th year of his life, 2 years after the death of his brother Joseph. So this thing packed with a lot of information, right? We're gonna keep on. It says 2 years after the death of his brother Joseph, and when Reuben fell sick, his sons and his sons' sons and his sons were gathered together to visit him. And he said to them, my children, behold, I am dying, and I go to the way of my fathers. And seeing his brothers Judah and Gad and Asher there, he said to them, raise me up, that I may tell to my brothers and to my children what things I have hidden in my heart. For behold, now at length I am passing away. And he arose and kissed them and said to them, hear, my brothers and my children, give ear to your father Reuben in the commands which I give to you. And behold, I call the God of heaven to witness against you this day, that you may not walk in the sins of youth and fornication, wherein I was poured out, and I defiled the bed of my father Jacob. And I tell you that he struck me with a sore plague in my loins for 7 months, and had my father Jacob not prayed for me to the Lord would have destroyed me. For I was 30 years old when I worked the evil, right? When I worked the evil thing before the Lord, and I was sick to death for 7 months. And after this, I converted with a set purpose of my soul for 7 years before the Lord. And I did not drink wine or strong drink, and flesh did not enter into my mouth. And I did not eat pleasant food, but I mourned over my sin, for it was great. Such has not been in Israel. So what happened was he slept with Leah. You're not familiar with the story. Reuben is the oldest, firstborn. That's how Judah became firstborn. That's how Judah became leader, because Reuben defiled Jacob's bed when he slept with Leah, right? So this is the sin he's talking about. So notice what it says at the end of this chapter, chapter 1. It says, I did not drink wine or strong drink, and flesh did not enter into my mouth, and I did not eat pleasant food, but I mourned over my sin, for it was great. Such has not been in Israel, right? And now hear me, my children, what things I saw concerning the 7 spirits of deceit when I converted. Therefore, 7 spirits are appointed against man, and they are the leaders of the works of youth. And 7 other spirits are given to him at his creation, that through them should be done every work of man. The first is the spirit of life, with which the constitution of man is created. The second is the sense of sight, and with which arises desire. The third is the sense of hearing, with which comes teaching. The fourth is the sense of smell, with which taste are given to draw air and breath. The fifth is the power of speech, with which comes knowledge. The sixth is the sense of taste, with which comes the eating of meats and drinks, and by its strength it produces, for in food is the foundation of strength. Okay. The seventh is the power of procreation and sexual intercourse, with which through love or pleasure sins enter in. For what reason is the last in order of creation, and the first in that of youth, because it is filled with ignorance, and leads the youth as a blind man to a pit, and as a beast to a precipice. Okay, that was chapter 2. So chapter 3. Besides all these, there is the 8th spirit of sleep, with which is brought about the trance of nature and the image of death. With these spirits are mingled the spirit of error. First, the spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in its senses. The second, the spirit of insatiableness in the belly. The third, the spirit of fighting, is the liver and the gall. The fourth is the spirit of groveling and trickery, that through overbearing attention one might falsely seem fair. The fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant. The sixth is the spirit of living, of lying, to practice deceit and perdition and jealousy and concealment from the kindred of friends, from kindred and friends. The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are thefts and acts of rapacy, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart. For injustice works together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts. And with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fanaticism. And so perishes every young man, darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of God, nor obeying the admonitions of his fathers, and also befall me in my youth. And now, my children, love the truth. It will preserve you. Hear the words of your father Reuben. Pay no heed to the face of pay no heed to the face of a woman, nor associate with another man's wife, nor meddle with the affairs of womankind. For had I not seen Bela bathing in a covered place, I would not have fallen into the great iniquity. For my mind, taking in the thoughts of a woman's nakedness, did not permit me to sleep until I had worked the abominable thing. For while our father Jacob had gone to his father Isaac, when we were in Eder near the Euphrates in Bethlehem, Bela became drunk and was asleep, uncovered in her chamber. Therefore, having gone in and beheld her nakedness, I worked the impiety without her perceiving it, and leaving her sleeping, I departed. And immediately a message of God revealed to my father concerning my impiety. And he came and mourned over me and touched her no longer. Okay, chapter 4. Pay no heed, therefore, my children, to the beauty of women, nor set your mind on their affairs, but walk in singleness of heart in the fear of God, and expend labor on good works and on study and on your flocks until the Lord gives you a wife whom he will that you do not permit as I did. For until my father's death, I did not have boldness to look in his face or to speak to any of my brothers because of the reproach. Even until now, my conscience causes me anguish on account of my impieties. And yet my father comforted me much and prayed for me to the Lord, that the anger of the Lord might pass from me, even as the Lord showed. And from then until now, I have been on my guard, and I have not seen. Therefore, my children, I say to you, observe all things whatsoever I command you, and you will see, and you will not sin. For the sin of fornication is a pit to the soul, separating it from God and bringing it near to idols, because it deceives the mind and understanding, and it leads young men into Hades before their time. And fornication has destroyed many, because though a man may be old or noble or rich or poor, he brings reproach on himself with the sons of men and the derision of Belial. For you heard regarding Joseph, how he guarded himself from a woman and purged his thoughts from all fornication and found favor in the sight of God and men. For the Egyptian woman did many things to him, and summoned musicians and offered him love potions, but the purpose of his soul admitted no evil desire. Therefore the God of your fathers delivered him from every evil and hid death. For if fornication does not overcome your mind, neither can Belial overcome you. Read that again. Therefore the God of your fathers delivered him from every evil, hidden death, right? For if fornication does not overcome your mind, neither can Belial overcome you. So fornication brings him in. Anyway, now we're going to read again what I read earlier. For women are evil, my children, and since they have no power or strength over man, they use schemes by outward attraction, that they may draw him to themselves, and whom they cannot bewitch by outward attractions. They overcame him by craft. For moreover, concerning them, the messengers of God told me and taught me that women are overcome by the spirit of fornication more than men, and they plot against men in their hearts, and by means of their adornment, they first deceive their minds, and by the glance of the eye, instill the poison, and then then through the accomplishment of the act, they take them captive. For a woman cannot force a man openly, but by a heartless bearing, she deceives him. Flee therefore, or fornication, my children, and command your wives and your daughters that they do not adorn their heads and faces to deceive the mind, because every woman who uses these schemes has been reserved for continuous punishment, for thus they have allured the watchers who were before the flood. For as these continuously beheld them, they lusted after them, and they conceived the act in their mind, for they changed themselves into the chase of men and appeared to them when they were with their husbands. And the women, lusting in their minds after their form, gave birth to giants, for the watchers appeared to them as reaching even in the heaven. Okay, now verse 6. Anybody got any comments on that? Since I reread it, the whole thing. Okay, any comments so far? Okay, so 6. This is some more information. I wanted to add this in. It says, this group is still talking. Beware therefore of fornication, and if you wish to be pure in mind, guard your senses, the 5 senses, from every woman, and likewise command the woman not to associate with men, that they may also be pure in mind. For constant meetings, even though the ungodly deeds are not worked, are in irremediable disease of them, and to use destruction of Belial and a continuous reproach. For in fornication there is neither understanding nor godliness, and all jealousy dwells in the lust thereof. Therefore I say to you, then you will be jealous against the sons of Levi, and will seek to be exalted over them, but you will not be able, for God will avenge them, and you will die by an evil death. For God gave the sovereignty to Levi and to Judah with him, and to me also, and to Dan and to Joseph, that we should be for rulers. Therefore, I command you to listen to Levi, because he will know the law of the Lord, and he will give ordinances for judgment, and he will sacrifice for all Israel until the consummation of time. Okay, the consummation of time. Okay, you don't get it. Times as the anointed chief priest to whom the Lord spoke. I adjure you by God, the God of heaven, to do truth, each one of his neighbors, to do truth unto his neighbor, and to entertain love, each one for his brother, and draw nigh to Levi in humbleness of heart, that you may receive blessings from the mouth. For he will bless Israel and Judah, because the Lord has chosen him to be king over all the nations, and bow down before his seed. For on behalf of it will die in wars, visible and invisible, and will be among you as a perpetual king. Now here you go. This is the part I want to shine a light on too. It says, this is the last verse. And Reuben died, having given these commands to his sons, and they placed him in a coffin until they carried him up from Egypt and buried him in Hebron, in the cave where his father was. Okay, so we see right here, this last part was just a nugget, just a golden nugget. That's also in the book of Jasher. When they died, they when they left Egypt, they took all their forefathers' coffins with them, took them to Israel, to Bethlehem, to that region, and they buried them there. So we see a second witness right here. But anyway, back to what we was talking about. Any comments on that? Anything make any sense? Any questions? Anything that was said? Anybody want to shine a light on it?
Shalom, everyone. It makes better sense to me now, Brother Leonard, that you have
Right.
read that and they explained it. It makes sense now. And when you started out reading in chapter 5, with verse 1, it says, "For women are evil, my children." But then,
Right.
like you say, it's saying like all women are evil. Um, but once you read on to the end of chapter 5, like I
Right.
said, that explain better of the women that they are speaking of, because the Hebrew Israelite women were not like that. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right. So he
Be,
said that. He said right there. He said in there. Not to cut you off, but he said right there. Guard your daughters, and guard your wives and your daughters. So the wives and daughters of the Israelites is different than the women you say are evil.
yes, sir. Right. Yes,
Right.
sir.
And then he alluded to who the women he was talking about, because he said they seduced the giants. They seduced the
Mm-hmm.
angels. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, sir.
which takes me back. I don't know if anybody else, if you on YouTube watching these videos, I know on like several occasions it had popped up. They said a judgment on the 200 women, the 200 wives or 200. You ever seen that?
Say that again, Brother Leonard. You cut out a little bit.
They got videos that say, uh, judge, who's that? It says a judgment on the wives of the 200. Yeah, who is that? Okay. Yeah, so with that being said, yeah, you got a comment on that?
Shalom. I was just gonna say, yeah, I've heard about the judgment on the 200 women. I've heard different things. I don't know, always know what exactly is the truth, but I have seen different articles and videos and stories about what happened to those women, those
Right,
original women,
right.
anyway.
And that's what Ruben alluded to. Right. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else got any comments? Anybody else got anything else? Yeah. Okay. If nobody else have anything else, if somebody can pick a scripture, and then we can read that scripture, and then we can break it down before we close out. Somebody got a scripture they want to read? Okay. Let's see if I can get one. Okay. Well, I go to Judges chapter 2. Might help somebody. It says, Judges chapter 2, and the angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I have brought you into the land which I swore to your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. So right here, contrary to what you may believe, it's telling you right here that it's an angel of the Lord that's over Israel, and that he's the one with the covenant. Everybody else want to put this covenant everywhere else but where it's supposed to be. It says, I read it again, it's Judges chapter 2, verse 1. The angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bacham, or whatever, and said, I made you to go about Egypt, and I have brought you to the land which I swore unto your fathers. And I said, I will not break my covenant with you. So we see right here, it's an angel. He's the one that did the 10 plagues in Egypt. He's the one led them out of Egypt, brought them to the land of Canaan, and he's the one with the covenant. So, you can either deal with that or you can continue to stay in the dark. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom to everybody. And I'll see y'all. We've got the men's line tomorrow night. You can come in through YouTube. Other than that, I'll see everybody on Shabbat, morning Shabbat. Okay. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament.
when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.